Well, good afternoon, evening. My name is Oscar Harris, and this is my beautiful wife, Christina Harris. And today, what we want to do is actually talk to you about a very pertinent topic as it relates to different things that are happening in the body of Christ, as well as church in general. Primarily, we're targeting talking with ready to serve couples and so on. And first of all, we want to let you know that, hey, we're so grateful to have you around, connected with us, and on this journey with us. One thing in particular we'll tell you is that there's always challenges, there's always obstacles in which we're constantly facing. But what we want to do today is hopefully just kind of talk about a few things that's actually happening that's connected to the seasons, as well as different types of things you can do that to kind of improve upon some areas as well as challenge some other areas that you may have going on in your life. And today's particular topic that we're going to be talking about is marriages and what's happening around them and so on. So before we get started, do you have something, Ms. Harris?
No, carry on.
Okay, so we are one thing in particular that we experience, and if you talk to friends, family, you would hear something to the effect that there are challenges with their relationships. It seemed as if probably a month or two ago, and today's date is, I think it's around the 4th of March in 2017, but probably a month or two ago, it would seem as if individuals were experiencing even greater attacks or obstacles as it related to their marriages and so on. And many individuals began to start thinking it was only them. But really, the fact of the matter and the truth of the matter is what can happen oftentimes as a body, you can go through things together. You will go through things together, and if you're not careful, what you'll think is that you're in it all by yourself. So I want to let you know is that you're definitely not in it by yourself, and that there are others who experience different type of challenges, and this is more in the category of spiritual warfare. Typically, when you begin to start seeing things happen around your relationships and so on, and you cannot explain them, what triggered it, you can't explain the cause and everything. A lot of times what has happened, there's some type of spiritual attack that's coming against you. So, in brief, some few things that we kind of want to talk to you about is A, how do you discern whether or not that's happening, and B, what type of steps should you take given that that's happening. First of all, as I kind of stated, you will notice that different things will come out of the blue. It'll seem like it'll seem like conflicts just automatically pop up. It'll seem like old things in which you had been healed of, delivered of, came back as far as rejection, resentment in relationships, resentment of past types of things that didn't happen. And if not even careful, what end up happening is that you will have a spirit of what they call memory recall, to where you'll start thinking about some of the things in which you have forgiven your spouse for in the past, and you'll notice that it'll actually solicit a response from you, and an emotion that actually triggers you to do certain types of things. So that's the first thing that I'll tell you to be at. And what you want to do is you want to initially just sit back, pray, and observe for a little while. And oftentimes in your silence, what you're going to recognize is that there is another force at play that's happening in those particular things. Christina, you had something in particular on that?
Well, I know with the changes that are happening when we have been going over the spirit of rejection or attacking that actually with Overcoming Rejection book, and then the course and everything, we're discovering that we're changing. And
Mm-hmm.
as we change, then of course, not only is it opening a door for the enemy when we start seeing old stuff try to come up, or old ways of trying to deal with things. When we're in a new place, we need new ways of dealing with it. And I think it's um, been a challenge learning one another again, which is very common as we grow. We're going to have to learn each other. We're even learning ourselves. So I think that's been pertinent as well.
Good. No, that is, I think, a great point in that soon as something changes in your life and your relationship, it automatically affects the other areas of your life. If you start getting healthy, what a lot of individuals don't realize, if once you commit to that journey of getting healthy, starting to even in a natural workout and everything does not feel good. It's actually painful, and everything within you tell you that you should quit. But I'm going to encourage you, definitely you want to keep going on, because that's just a sign that you're actually improving. and that you're actually going to get better and going to continue to get better. But what you have to do, you have to continue to, I guess, go at it, fight at it, as in the relationships. And in terms of it, what you're going to have to do is learn the strategies that you've learned around how do you talk with your spouse and how do you not internalize things, all the negative things that's happening, and take words out of context. I think you have to practice that, and you have to challenge yourself and always begin to start pursuing clarity around what individuals are telling you, especially if you've dealt with spirit of rejection. I'll say another thing that we look at as we're moving on to B, as far as other strategies you can really look at. I definitely recommend just constantly staying in your word and seeing what the Spirit of the Lord is saying concerning you, your position, your role, where you fit within your household, the ministry, and everything, because that's going to help you as well. But there's a few things that you have to be conscientious of, even while you're starting to flow in your role or figuring out other different types of things. That it's a process. I think so often what gets us in trouble is that we get excited once we get revelation about what life could be like, what it should be like, and we don't think about that sometimes it's a process. I mean, you got to do step A, you got to do step B, or you got to go to step C. You got to do all those different steps really to get the results that you're looking for. So I want to encourage you to, first of all, be patient with yourself. Be patient with your spouse. Forgive often. Forgive often. And what I mean forgive often, forgive before a person, sometimes before your spouse even realize that they've done anything wrong to you, because some of the things that oftentimes that end up hindering and really hurting our relationship, it's not the big things, it's the culmination of the small things that we're constantly bombarded with, and so on. I'm going to also encourage you to frequent different books, the 5 love languages, different other things. Frequent those books, and I would almost encourage some to even put them on a rotation or a cycle to where you revisit those types of books, those materials about relationship, because that's going to help you. Another thing in particular is you should take reminiscent journeys in your relationship and only think about those good moments that actually have happened, because what end up happening so often is that we end up being fixated on the negative stuff that has happened, and oftentimes we throw out the window all the positive stuff that had happened in our relationship. So I want to encourage you to definitely do that. Also, while all this is going on, keep the communication up. Something that happens quite often in relationships, sometimes I've seen it more with men in particular, but it happens in females as well. But we begin to start drawing back. We begin to start being very introspective, very much so thinking about what's happening in our life, how we trying to process through stuff, and we literally say we want space. And I'll say it's nothing wrong with that, but before you go to those places, make sure you consent, talk with your spouse about it, so they're not left out in the dark in terms of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and so on. And eventually what's going to end up happening, you're going to establish patterns, you're going to learn each other, and you're going to be able to really begin to start giving each other the proper healthy space, because space is a healthy thing. You do need time to yourself, you do need time to process, time to be with the Lord, time to do all those different types of things. So I encourage you to do that. Also, one thing I encourage you to do is be praying with individuals. Be part of the prayer groups and stuff. People who praying for a relationship, people praying for your relationship, you be praying for other people's relationships. And sometimes when the opportunity allows, coming together to begin to start talking about the positives of the relationship. Never get involved in groups who only talk about the negative stuff that can happen and what's going on, and never be in groups who's going to allow you to openly abuse your spouse verbally and everything. That's not healthy. That's not right. And so I'm going to encourage you, if you're ever a part of that kind of stuff, you probably should leave those kind of conversations alone, because it does not build you. But Christina?
And then also, to go along with the lines of communication, there's a bit of insecurity in our change and everything. So in that vulnerability and being insecure, we assume. So be careful of what assumptions you draw, and actually speak with your spouse. Don't assume that they meant this, because you're in a different lens than before. You have a different way of dealing with things, but yet you're still trying to go back to the familiar, and it's not the same. You can't judge based on what they are reacting to or saying, or not even saying, but their body language. You need to speak with them and quit assuming, because a lot of hurt comes from that. Because again, you're looking for validation, you're looking for encouragement and empowerment from the other, vice, and it goes both ways. And in that process, if you're not speaking and just assuming, it could actually kind of be very negative, and then you draw back even further. So,
Yep, cool, definitely. I totally agree, and I don't have too much to add, and I think this will conclude this segment in particular, just talking about relationships. Our intentions, our desire is to do more as the future relate on specific topics, but we thought it was definitely appropriate given the different attacks that we're seeing, particularly against marriages, relationships right now. And so I want to encourage you: forgive, 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 forgive. Love, let love be without assimilation or partiality. Love, 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 love. And we want to tell you again, we're grateful for you. We love you all. Some of you we
yes.
don't even know. And we just want to say have a blessed evening. And
Yes.
till the next time, God bless you.
God bless you.